This meeting is being recorded live and is streaming on the District of Summerland YouTube channel at youtube.com, District of Summerland. All representations to council, written or verbal, will form part of the public record and be available to the public for viewing electronically or as a written record. Members of the public are encouraged to register their name and civic address in advance of the meeting for the public comment opportunity found under items 6, 7.1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and 15 by email at corporateofficer@summerland.ca. Those who have not registered in advance may call 250-404-4052 during the live meeting to be added to the speakers list. Corporate Officer, are there any late items or amendments to the agenda?
There are no late items, Madam Mayor, but there is a request to move the Mayor's report and the CAO report up to follow agenda item 5, please.
Okay, thank you. May I have an adoption of the amended agenda, Council? Councillor Van Elfen and Councillor Holmes, all in favor? Thank you. And adoption of the minutes of the August the 24th regular council meeting. Councillor Holmes, Councillor Barkpool, all in favor? Thank you. And so now on to my mayor's report. On August the 26th, the Southern Interior Local Government Association, SILGA, executive held its final meeting before the Union of BC Municipalities Convention. Much of the discussion was on the association's AGM, which was postponed from our usual spring convention. An extra edition of our newsletter was sent out last week to all members about the virtual AGM being held on September the 29th at 10:30 a.m. September the 3rd, I was invited to a presentation by We Are One, an anti-racism group out of Surrey. And this was created by Mr. Khan and is made up of various members of the Khan family, youth, daughters and sons and nieces and nephews. They have traveled extensively and spreading the message of We Are One and anti-racism. There is a We Are One mask downstairs in everybody's individual council box. I think that was on the 3rd. And then I also attended the official opening, I guess, or official completion of phases 1 and 2 of the Giant's Head Mountain Park. Councillor Van Elfen and Councillor Holmes also attended that. It's a great cause for celebration, and phases 1 and 2 really have livened up the mountain and made it probably safer. Certainly the signage is there, the fencing up at the top keeps people from falling over the cliff, and we're looking forward to perhaps being able to work on phases 3 and 4 next year. On September the 4th, I attended the monthly OBWB Okanagan Basin Water Board meeting, and of interest are the following. The board voted to manage the BC Aqua Hacking Challenge again in 2021. Last year, 135 university students from across Canada participated in the challenge. The winning team had created a heated water pressurized system to clean ballasts of boats as they came out of Canadian waters to help against the spread of quagga and zebra mussels. This year marks the 50th anniversary of the OBWB, and a physically distanced in-person celebration is being organized for October the 1st. Planning has begun for the Osoyoos Water Science Forum for 2021. And finally, the board has accepted the Water Stewardship Council's recommendation that resources be directed to enhancing the hydrometric monitoring stations in the region. This will provide more accurate and up-to-date water level and stream flow data that's required for good decision-making. And finally, the 2019 annual report is available at obwb.ca. Last Wednesday, September 9th, I attended the Okanagan Lake Responsibility Planning Initiative session. This initiative is led by the Okanagan Collaborative Conservation Program, the Okanagan Nation Alliance, and the South Okanagan Similkameen Conservation Program. The vision of the project is to identify ways to improve and coordinate policy and planning processes to protect and restore the environmental, cultural, and economic values of Okanagan Lake. This session focused on increasing awareness and understanding of Syilx water values and perspectives, identifying mutual benefits for Syilx local and provincial governance, and continuing to build on relationships between Syilx and non-Syilx participants. The next session is scheduled for late September. On September 10th, I attended the Water Stewardship Council meeting, at least part of it, the Technical Resource Group to the Okanagan Basin Water Board. Guest speaker Ray Brook spoke extensively about natural assets and incorporating them into local government asset management plans. Natural assets or capital, for example, the forest or watershed, provide ecosystems, services, or functions such as water filtration to provide ecosystem goods and services, for example, potable water, that benefit humans. Mr. Brooks spoke quite a bit about upcoming funding opportunities too for natural assets. So that's something that perhaps can go forward from here. Next week, Council, no, I wrote this last week. Council this week has several conference call meetings with ministers and ministerial staff to discuss priority projects in Summerland, followed by 4 days of the annual Union of BC Municipalities Convention. Of course, all of that is held virtually. Thanks. CAO.
Okay, thank you, Madam Mayor. So just a couple of updates. As we noted in our newsletter, for September, we have a Downtown Neighbourhood Plan Task Force currently looking for applicants. So looking for a good mix of local stakeholders and residents with an interest in enhancing the future of our downtown community, from our downtown business owners, residents, chamber of commerce, youth representatives, school district 67, housing providers, arts and culture and heritage representatives, parks and recreation representatives. So looking for applicants up until the end of day on Friday, September 25th. So I look forward to receiving a few more applications for council to review over the next few weeks for that process. Another major process currently underway is with regards to the Summerland Community Recreation and Health Centre. We're in the process of meeting with a number of different stakeholders in the community in accordance with the engagement framework that council approved for this process, and we'll have more information over the next week or so regarding a public survey that will be issued in September and a public online open house, which is scheduled for Thursday, September 24th. So looking forward to getting the community involved in that project. It's not every year you get an opportunity to be involved in a project like this. Every 40 to 50 years, a recreation centre comes along. So huge opportunity for the community to get involved in that project, and an interesting opportunity for a partnership with the health side of things. And then finally, with regards to our existing aquatic and fitness centre, reopened on September 8th. We've been very busy over that first week. It's been great to see everyone back in the facility. Just a reminder, our phase 1 opening is from September 8th to October 11th. Facility hours are Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. and Saturday and Sunday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. So if anyone's got any further questions or want to book a time in there, please contact our recreation department at 250-494-0447. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
And did you want to speak to the Municipal Hall hours extension?
Yes, good point. Municipal Hall is now back open from 8:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. So we're getting back into a soft opening, again, cognizant of all the safety protocols that have been put in place in the space that we have available. So we're open to 4 p.m. And looking forward to seeing everyone have their needs met in Municipal Hall, where our tax deadline, I should point out, is the end of September 30th. So just a reminder for those of you that have still yet to pay your property tax, look forward to seeing you guys in the next couple of weeks. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Now on to 7, our development items for this evening. 7.1, development variance permit DVP 20-023 at 10811 Rutherford Avenue. And this one is for Iriana.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So an application was received from the owners of 10811 Rutherford Avenue to increase the maximum coverage of all buildings and structures within the farm home plate.
Iriana, could I interrupt, please? Yes. Sorry, I forgot to allow for comments from the public. Is there anyone on the phone line that wishes to comment? No? Okay, thank you. Thank you for the reminder, Councillor Trainer. Please carry on. Thanks for waiting.
Okay, so the applicants are hoping to increase the maximum coverage of all buildings and structures within the farm home plate from 35% to 39% to facilitate a renovation and an addition to an existing carport and deck. The future land use designation of the property is agricultural. It's zoned A1 or small acreage zone. And it also falls within the agricultural land reserve. And along its southern property line, it runs parallel to Prairie Creek and is within a watercourse development permit area. And the location of the proposed is also within that watercourse area as well. So at this time, the owners are proposing to enclose their carport to create a 1-car garage, as well as enclosing the deck to create a guest bedroom and to expand their master bedroom. This proposal also includes a 12.4 square meter addition to the footprint of the existing house. So, and here again, you can see more of what the proposed concept looks like. So, although the proposed development in itself is small and the works are contained primarily within the footprint of the house, the existing coverage within the farm home plate for all buildings and structures already exceeds zoning bylaw standards. As is, the coverage is approximately 37%, and the proposed addition would increase the coverage to 39%. To understand why coverage was already exceeding the maximum permitted, staff reviewed the property file and found a zone check from 2015 for the pool house and shop. This zone check notes that the cumulative coverage for all buildings and structures, including the then proposed pool house, was 28%. It's conceivable that staff did not incorporate the pool or the carport into their coverage calculations, and this appears to be the source of the problem. So, although the proposal includes enclosing the garage, the actual development that would increase coverage at this time is a 12.4 square meter addition. All buildings and structures have been approved by the district through building permits, but without the benefit of a development variance permit to increase coverage. So this application not only involves a small addition, but also bringing all buildings and structures into compliance. So confining residential uses to a farm home plate and limiting their coverage is one way to protect agricultural land from development. In this instance, however, the proposed development and its impact on the farming potential of the property is negligible. Despite the land being zoned A1, it is unlikely that the property will be used for farming in the future due to its size and physical constraints. So it's only 1 acre in size, it has an irregular shape. The buildings that are there were approved by the district and take up a significant proportion of the land, and there is a watercourse along the southern property line. So with respect to the current proposal and the addition, its impact on farming again is minimal, as the area of the renovation and the addition is partially developed because of the existing carport, and that area is already paved. It should also be noted that prior to submitting this application that the owners applied for and obtained a watercourse development permit for this proposal. So overall, staff considered the impact of increasing the maximum coverage within the farm home plate to be minimal and recommend that this development variance permit be approved. Thank you.
Thank you. There is an opportunity for the public to comment on this, beginning with the applicant. Do we have the applicant on the line? Is there anyone on the line that would care to comment on the development variance permit that's before us on Rutherford? Okay. Council, questions of Ariana? Councillor Patton and then Councillor Van Alphen.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Ariana, were you saying that we were looking at a lot coverage from 35 to 37?
So the
35 to 37%?
So the maximum permitted in the zoning bylaw is 35% right now. What exists without the proposed 12.4 square meter addition is 37%,
Okay.
and now they're asking for 39.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Councillor Van Alphen?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So this is subject to a watercourse development permit. Being ELR land, does that also include a riparian report?
So the applicants did have a referral court, have a QEG do an assessment, and the province approved the development.
But is that necessary on ELR land?
It's not for farm purposes,
Okay,
so as a residential use, it is required. Yeah.
thank you so much.
Anyone else? I have one question. When you were talking about the enclosed carport and then the space above, is that will that be a self-contained unit, or is it just allowing extra space for another bedroom?
Just extra space for another bedroom. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And expanding their master bedroom a little bit.
Yes, okay, good, thank you. Any other questions? Okay. Anyone care to bring this forward?
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you.
A development variance permit DVP 20-023 to vary sections 8.1.5C of the zoning bylaw 4000-450 to increase the maximum coverage of all buildings and structures within the farm home plate from 35% to 39% for the property located at 10811 Rutherford Avenue, legally described as that part Lot 19 outlined blue on Plan B4164, District Lot 476, the Soyuz Division, Yale District Plan 159 be approved and that staff be directed to issue a development variance permit DVP 20-023.
Thank you. That was beautifully read. Councillor Barfoller, seconder. Any further discussion on this? Okay, all in favor? Any opposed? Thank you, that carries. Thank you, Arian. I remembered to take the extra A off. I apologize for that. So 7.2, development variance permit DVP 20-019 for 7300 Canyon View Road. And this is over to you, Alex.
Good evening, Council. So the district has received an application for variance in order to facilitate the construction of a storage shed / chicken coop. For fluidity's sake, I'm just going to refer to it as a shed during the presentation. And that's located at 7300 Canyon View Road. So the requested variance is to section 8.6.1B2, which prescribes the minimum rear setback. The applicant is requesting a variance from 30 meters to 1.5 meters. In the OCP, the future land use designation of the subject property is agricultural, and it is zoned A1 agricultural small acreage. These land uses are consistent with neighboring properties. The subject property is also located within the agricultural land reserve. A referral was submitted to the commission, however, no response was received. So the subject property is located at the southern border of Summerland. It currently has a single family dwelling as well as several small outbuildings sited on it. The lot has an area of 9,389 square meters and is located approximately 4.3 kilometers south of downtown. The requirement of variance for the proposed shed was identified when a building official noticed the structure being erected without permit. At this time, the applicant was unaware the structure required a permit. The only bylaw compliance item flagged was the proximity of the shed to the property line. The proposal or the shed meets all other requirements. So the subject parcel is relatively small for an A1 agricultural classification. The minimum lot size for A1 zones is 2 hectares. The subject property has an area of just 0.94 hectares. Due to its smaller size, significant agricultural setback requirements limit the buildable area on this site. The intent of setbacks within the agricultural zone is to provide physical separation and to reduce the potential conflict with adjacent uses. The neighborhood along Canyon View Road is predominantly agricultural. Further, the proposed structure is to be sited along the property line that does not directly abut another lot. The Kettle Valley Railway line provides a roughly 30-meter buffer between the 2 properties, as you can see on the image here. Another factor limiting development potential on this property is the presence of FortisBC transmission pressure pipeline. That's identified in the purple line there, the right-of-way. So no buildings or foundation structures are permitted within this right-of-way. So pretty big chunk of the lot. Significantly reducing minimum setback requirements is seldom encouraged because it may disrupt from form and character of a neighborhood. However, in this case, there will be no disruption from the form to the neighborhood. The small structure will not be visible from the neighboring residences or from Canyon View Road. Further, the applicant has communicated that all the derelict structures on the property will be demolished, which are identified in the corner there. So staff are recommending support of this application. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'll ask if the applicant is on the line or if anybody else would like to comment. Anybody on the line to comment on development variance permit at 7300 Canyon View Road? All right, Council, over to you again. Councillor Carlson.
How big is the shed?
It's quite small. Like it's I don't know the exact dimensions of it right offhand. But I can flip back to the image maybe of it so you can.
So I just asked because I know there's a certain size where you don't need a permit.
110 square feet.
Right, and so it's bigger than that.
I believe it's slightly bigger than that.
Okay,
Yes.
so they erred in their building because it was slightly too large for the.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, even just to be clear, even buildings under the 110 square feet mark still need to meet setback requirements.
Yes.
And everything like that. But yeah.
Okay, thank you.
The derelict buildings that you were referring to, are those the 3 that are there that are across the property line?
Exactly. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. Councillor Carlson.
I'll move the motion unless there's no questions. I'll move the development variance permit DBP 20-019 to vary section 8.1.6D2 of the zoning bylaw to reduce the minimum rear setback from 30 meters to 1.5 meters at 7300 Canyon View Road, legally described as Lot A, District Lot 441 ODYD, Plan KAP 41408 be approved.
Thank you. Councillor Van Alphen seconds. Any further discussion? All those in favor? None opposed. Thank you. On to 7.3. 7.3 development variance permit DVP 20-021 for 17016 Lowview Road. Again, over to you, Alex.
Thank you very much. So I just want to address council before I begin this application. So this, the notification that was sent out for this application contained a site plan that was outdated, as I was informed by the applicant several days before council. So he submitted the new site plan, which is a smaller addition than what was originally proposed. So it went from request to 39% down to 38 in terms of they ask for increase in coverage. So I'll just continue, but basically the point is the notification was sent for a larger increase, and now it's being reduced. So, yeah. Alrighty, so the district received an application for variance in order to facilitate the construction of an addition to a home at 17016 Logie Road. The requested variance is to section 8.1.5C, which prescribes the maximum farm home plate. The applicant is requesting a variance from 35% to 38%. In the OCP, the future land use designation of the subject property is agricultural, and it is zoned A1 agricultural small acreage. These land uses are consistent with neighboring properties. The subject property is also located in the agricultural land reserve. A referral was submitted to the commission, however, no response was received for this application. The subject property is located north of downtown Summerland and currently has a single-family home on it. The requirement of variance for the proposed addition to this home was identified at the zoning analysis stage of building permit application. One bylaw compliance item was flagged, the farm home plate coverage. Other than that, the proposal met all requirements. So the zoning bylaw section 8.1.5 limits the amount of lot coverage to 35% of the farm home plate. A farm home plate is a zoning bylaw regulation meant to limit residential usage of agricultural properties. Specifically, a farm home plate is defined by the zoning bylaw as a 905 square meter portion of an agricultural lot where residents and other structures related to the residential usage are permitted. The remainder of an agricultural lot outside of the farm home plate is meant to be used for agricultural purposes. The owners have applied to increase the amount of allowable coverage to 38% of the farm home plate to allow the proposed additions and the renovations to the single attached home. It should be noted that the subject parcel, although zoned agricultural, is not used for farming purposes. The lot has an unfavorable terrain for farming practices, and as such, allowing a small increase in the allowable coverage will not take away from agricultural uses on the property at all. The use of the lot is more comparable to that of a country residential lot. If this property was zoned as country residential, the owners would be allowed to cover 20% of the entire lot, which would allow for a building with an approximate footprint of up to 16,000 square feet. Staff have recommended approval of the proposed variance based on its limited impact to agricultural opportunities and neighboring residences. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there anyone on the line that would like to speak to development variance permit for 17016 Logie Road? Okay, council. Any questions of Alex? Could I have someone bring forward the recommendation, please? Or some resolution.
So the development variance permit DBP 20-021 to vary section 8.1.5C of the zoning bylaw to increase the maximum coverage for all buildings and structures within the farm home plate from 35% to 38% for the property located at 17016 Logie Road, legally described as Lot 1, District Lot 454, ODYD Plan KP 3709 be approved.
Thank you. Seconder, Councillor Trainer. Any discussion on this DVP? All in favor? Any opposed? That carries as well. On to 7.4, development variance permit for 7203 Nixon Road. Alex?
Thank you very much. So the district has received an application for variance in order to facilitate demolition and construction of a new single-family dwelling at 7023 Nixon Road. The requested variances are to the following sections: 6.5.1 of the zoning bylaw to reduce the minimum garage door setback from a private roadway from 6 meters to 5.12 meters, 10.3.5B of the zoning bylaw to increase the maximum floor area ratio from 0.4 to 0.5, and 10.3.6AI of the zoning bylaw to reduce the minimum front setback from 6 meters to 5.12 meters. In the OCP, the future land use designation of the subject property is low-density residential, and it is zoned as RSD2 residential large lot. These land uses are consistent with neighboring properties. The subject property is also located within a watercourse development permit area. A development permit application is being processed in conjunction with this application. The subject property is located in the Trout Creek neighborhood. It currently has a single-family home sited on it. The requirement of variance for the subject development was the result of pre-application discussion between the applicant and district staff. 3 bylaw compliance items were flagged for variance: floor area ratio, the front setback, and the garage door setback. The proposal met all of the requirements outlined in our zoning bylaw. So the proposed home design shows one of the front corners of the garage projecting 0.88 meters into the required setback. It should be noted that the majority of the garage door and front of the home is set back in accordance with the zoning bylaw requirement. Section 6.5.1 of the zoning bylaw requires that all garage doors have a minimum setback of 6 meters from any public or private right-of-way, roadway, or easement. Section 10.3.6 AI requires principal buildings to have a 6-meter front yard setback. The intent of the garage setback regulation is to create driveways with adequate length to allow vehicle parking without protruding into the street or sidewalks. The zoning bylaw requires 2 vehicle parking spaces on site for a single-family development. The proposed home design includes a single-car garage that would provide one of the required stalls. The second required stall, with the standard width of 2.6 meters and depth of 5.5 meters, is able to be provided in the proposed driveway area. There will be no negative impacts in allowing the reduced setbacks, as both cars have adequate room to be parked on the site. Further, an additional 3 meters of road right-of-way exists between the property line and the edge of asphalt on Nixon Road, providing even further buffer. In the residential medium lot zone, the allowable FAR, or floor area ratio, is 0.4. The applicant is requesting a variance to increase the allowable FAR to 0.5. On residential lots, the purpose of FAR is to regulate the size of principal dwellings in relation to the size of the lot on which they are located. The additional floor area requested is primarily to allow for floor space on the second floor, providing for additional living space within the new home. The proposed floor area ratio increase is justifiable in this case. The subject property is located within a watercourse development permit area. As such, the property owners have been required to prepare a riparian areas protection report for provincial approval. Provincial regulations stipulate that required 15 meters riparian setback from Okanagan Lake. This requirement significantly reduces the buildable area on the property and has caused the owner to seek an increase to the floor area ratio to compensate. It should be noted that the lot coverage of the proposed new home will be under the maximum allowable by approximately 6%. The proposal also complies with the maximum allowable height. Allowing a small setback reduction on the street side and an increase to the FAR, floor area ratio, will facilitate construction of a new home and restore the riparian environment adjacent to the lake. The watercourse development permit will be reviewed by staff and has received approval from the province, supporting the proposed location of the new home and the riparian mitigation measures proposed by the applicant's qualified environmental professional. Staff are supportive of all 3 variances, and there should be no impact to neighboring property owners or to the safety of the street. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there anyone on the line that is wanting to comment on development variance permit for 7203 Nixon Road? Okay, any questions of Alex, council? I have just one question.
Sure.
Did you say that the riparian setback has been, because it's encroaching a little bit, has been approved by the province?
Yeah, so essentially, because of there's basically our sphere goes like 30 meters from the lake where we require the applicants to go through the development permit process. So because of that, they had to go through the province even before. So yes, so the home design has been approved by the province at this stage and the location.
Okay, thank you. It's the only question I had. You care to bring this forward, please? I was looking at you, Councillor Barkle, and you turned your eyes away. Councillor Van Elfen, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. That development variance permit DVP 20-022 for the property located at 7023 Nixon Road, legally described as Lot 4, District Lot 508, ODYD Plan KAP 3442 to vary the minimum garage door setback from a private road prescribed in section 6.5.1 of the zoning bylaw number 2000-450 from 6 meters to 5.12 meters be approved. And 2, the maximum floor area ratio prescribed in sections 10.3.5B of the zoning bylaw number 2000-450 from 0.0 or 0.4 to 0.5 be approved. And 3, that the minimum front setback prescribed in sections 10.3.6 AI of zoning bylaw number 2000-450 from 6.0 meters to 5.12 meters be approved.
Thank you. Seconder, Councillor Holmes, thank you. Any further discussion on this? All in favor? Any opposed? Carries. And I'll just wait for a change of chairs here.
Thanks very much, Council.
Thank you, Alex. Okay, on to development variance permit 7.5. Development variance permit DVP 20-025 for 2920 to 3530 Landry Crescent. Bobby.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So the District of Summerland has received an application for a development variance permit 20-025 to vary the offsite works required at subdivision for the property at 2920 to 3530 Landry Crescent. The applicant is proposing to vary Schedule C5, Section 2.05 of the District of Summerland subdivision and development servicing bylaw. The subject parcel is situated on the north side of Landry Crescent and is home to 400 meters of Okanagan Lake shoreline and walking trails. The current owner has applied for this development variance permit to facilitate the 12-lot subdivision currently illustrated on the screen. The current zoning of the property is RMD and aligns with the OCP. Properties zoned RMD are permitted to construct cluster housing comprised of single detached housing, duplex housing, and townhome housing. Might be a little bit hard to read on the screen, but Schedule C5, Section 2.05 of the SDS bylaw refers to hydraulic network considerations. The portion that the applicant is looking to vary is the portion that states the maximum length of any permanent non-interconnected water main shall not exceed 200 meters in length. All mains exceeding 200 meters in length, unless it is a temporary situation, must be looped. This section of the SDS bylaw is in place to meet public health and safety guidelines, to achieve optimal fire flows, and for operational benefits. So this slide shows the current configuration of the water main on Landry Crescent. Again, a little bit hard to see, but there's currently 1,080 meters of unlooped water main from Randall Street, which contradicts the SDS bylaw. unless it is a temporary situation, which staff have determined it is no longer. The orange line illustrated on the south portion of Landry Crescent towards the highway illustrates the proposed looping that is required as part of subdivision. The length of pipe required to loop the system is approximately 590 meters. So a little bit of history on the proposed subdivision and the neighboring 4500 Landry 2-lot subdivision that was completed earlier this year. The owner of 4500 Landry Crescent first approached the district and completed the requirements of subdivision, except for the water main looping, knowing that there was another subdivision that had been applied for. Staff allowed the developer of 4500 Landry to pay cash in lieu of the water main works to satisfy the requirements of the bylaw until the 12-lot subdivision was ready to complete the water main looping at their leisure. The estimated amount to complete construction of the water main loop after the cash in lieu provided by the owner at 4500 Landry is equal to $283,000.21 for the minimum loop size, which is 150 millimeter diameter. It was agreed by staff that any upsizing of the proposed loop required to meet fire flows of the developments would be provided by the District of Summerland. Looping of dead-end mains is a requirement of the District of Summerland because the looping is most importantly contributes to public health and the drinking water quality that the public consumes. Dead-end water mains are subject to sitting stagnant water, as domestic water consumption alone is not typically enough to flush a water main. Sitting water decreases residual chlorine and increases the chances of bacteria developing and infecting the local water supply to other residences in the area. The province notes that it is the water supplier's responsibility to provide and deliver safe drinking water that meets the requirements of the Drinking Water Protection Act and the Drinking Water Protection Regulation. The District of Summerland is the water supplier liable to provide adequate drinking water. Interior health guidelines for construction of waterworks also notes in section 9B that it is recommended that a water main be looped wherever economically feasible to minimize contamination risks and service disruptions during repair of breaks or water main flushing. Looping of water mains is required to ensure, again, that chlorine residual is maintained to the required levels as regulated by the province to mitigate microbacteriological growth in water mains. Another major consideration that must be made is the fire flows available in the area. The proposed 12-lot subdivision provided a fire underwriter survey sealed by a professional engineer. The required fire flow for the potential build out of the property is 167 liters per second. The 2-lot subdivision at 4500 Landry that was talked about previously, they also require 100 liters per second. And in the report by Agua Consulting, which is the District of Summerland's third-party water modeling consultant, it's a requirement that this water loop not only be installed for the public safety of consuming water, but also to meet the required fire flows. The governing value of 167 liters per second cannot currently be met, given that the same report notes that the district can only currently provide 82 liters per second without the water main loop being constructed. The District of Summerland's fire department has also noted that dead-end water mains negatively impact the fire underwriter survey insurance rating for the entire municipality. Once a system is looped, operationally, if a water main break was to occur, the break could be isolated and the water would be supplied from each direction east or west from Highway 97 to minimize any potential service disruptions to the public. Currently, a water main break in the area would disrupt service to at least 9 properties. The applicant's rationale included the following points. The current ownership group wishes to subdivide and sell all of the lots to a single developer. Lots created will not be developed by the current owner. Uncertainty of what a future developer may wish to build may impact the size of the water main loop that is required to be constructed. The applicant notes that properties to the east and west of the subject property currently utilize this water main for their domestic use, and the likelihood of stagnant water is minimal. The applicant does not feel like looping the water main is directly attributable to their development. Staff considerations in response to the applicant's rationale include the following points. Although the current owner does not wish to develop the lots, there is no mechanism to ensure who and how many lots are sold to any future owners. Staff believe that it would be unreasonable to ask a single family property owner to construct and incur the cost of the water main loop. Cash in lieu could be considered for this current owner. However, the current owner does not wish to contribute to the construction of this water main loop at all. So for the safety of the public, fairness to surrounding developers, and to maintain a standard of practice, staff recommend denying this variance. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Is there anyone on the line that would like to speak to development variance permit in regard to 2920 to 3530 Landry Crescent? Thank you. Please state your name and your address and then provide us with your comments.
Thank you, Your Worship. My name is Jordan Hennigan, and I work for Crescent and Kelowna at 1708 Dolphin Avenue. This evening, we are requesting that council vary the required water line loop for a proposed subdivision on Landry Crescent. This subdivision, the subject property that we are looking at subdividing is currently zoned residential medium density and was serviced as per the Summerland servicing requirement with a 200 mil water line along the entirety of the frontage back in 2006. When this property was zoned in service, no looping was required. Based on the existing R&D zone, purchaser of this site can apply for and build exactly the same product that will be permitted after subdivision, with or without the water loop. The subdivision is not increasing density, not changing building type, not adding anything that would increase the water flow or capacity that we have now. We are doing nothing through subdivision that is directly attributable to the requirements for a water loop or a loop water main. At this time, we have applied for a subdivision of the property into 12 individual lots that is being marketed to as a single sale to a developer. Once the property sells, should the developer choose to construct buildings that require fire flow beyond the existing fire flow that is available at 87 liters per second, they will need to loop the water line. At that time, they will also be able to determine the appropriate size of the water line necessary. We currently have a number of interested parties that are looking at the parcel, each with different ideas and different product mix and density for the site. And each that would have a different water line loop size. Again, they're not touching the OCP or the zoning and not affecting what can be built on the site. We believe that the correct time to install water lines is once the development permit comes in or the building permit comes in and fire flow is required. One item that staff mentioned in the report is the importance for fairness to surrounding developers. For our developers to pay for this water loop, our understanding is that currently the campground to the east has paid approximately $50,000 for their property of 112 units. And the recent residential subdivision located 100 meters to the east of our site did not pay anything for the water line looping when they were subdivided less than 3 years ago. My client is not willing to install a 6-inch water line to meet the municipality's minimum requirements just to have a purchaser of the project need to rip it up and increase it to an 8-inch or 10-inch line. Nor are we willing to install a 10-inch line and overbuild and require an increased price to the land, causing increase in housing price affordability with no benefit to future residents. The council approved the variance, the property would be subdivided or would sell the project to a developer, and at that time they can determine with their architect and fire flow calculation based on the building design and the correct height size would be installed. Should the property not meet this variance, we would look to sell the entire 6.5 acre property without subdivision, which will reduce the attractiveness of the parcel to developers and impede development of the site, similar to what has been done since 2006. Again, as the site is already zoned, our subdivision is not increasing density or changing use. And the property was adequately serviced when it was originally zoned RMP. We believe that our subdivision of the parcel is not the right time for this water line and should be installed when future development and fire flow is required. Should the purchaser of our parcel build density on the site, the water line will be required through fire flow and the upgrades will happen. Again, we're asking for the water line loop requirement to be varied. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Is there anyone else on the line that would like to comment on the Landry Crescent Development Variance Permit? Okay, council, any questions of Bobby? Councillor Patton and then Councillor Barkle.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I have three. Can you disclose how much money was given in cash in lieu for the previous subdivision?
I don't have that figure in front of me. There was a sum provided for the water main looping. It was a 1/12 fraction of the total cost based on the number of existing parcels versus the number of proposed parcels, and that fraction was decided to be granted to the two-lot subdivision in order to meet the subdivision requirements.
Thank you. And future land use on the water. What is allowed? What's in our OCP for future land use?
Through Chair, Madam Mayor, so it's a medium density designation. The current zoning is RMD, so medium density residential, and the purpose of that zone that exists now is to accommodate development of multiple housing units. The principal use permitted in the zone include cluster housing comprised of single family or single detached housing, duplex housing, and or townhouse on one parcel. So each of the 12 lots, for example, could have that cluster housing if the eventual owner of those parcels determined that was appropriate, in addition to a separate duplex on each lot or a townhouse on each lot. On the single family zone, on the individual parcels, you cannot build a single family home. It has to be a duplex, a townhome, and a single family home, or a single family home, sorry, as part of a cluster, or a separate duplex or a separate townhome. That's the way the RMD zone is written.
So each lot then could basically be a multifamily.
Correct. Correct.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Councillor Barkle?
Did I hear that the proposal was that the district would pay for any upsizing required for fire flow?
That was an offer that was given at the time of the cash in lieu negotiations, yes.
And why would we pay for the upsizing for fire flow? Like, I know subdivisions where they say, you know, you're going to now need a hydrant, and so the developer has to pay for whatever additional volume is required to provide that hydrant. So why would that be offered?
I believe that the conversation was in regards to the current owner not wishing to develop the parcels at this time. The uncertainty of what will be built there was part of it. I think our CAO can provide a little bit more insight.
Yeah, through Chair, Madam Mayor. So the I think it's approximately $300,000 is the project. The developer of the two-lot subdivision, contributed approximately $60,000. And then the remainder, which is the 200 or so, which is subject to this application, is intended to be provided as part of the 12-lot subdivision. It was approximately $30,000 that was attributable to the district because of the oversizing requirement over and above what is required for the 12-lot and the 2-lot. So that was filling the gap that existed over and above what is required under the proposed development.
If I might also add, the minimum diameter water main size, as outlined in the SDS bylaw, is 150 millimeters or 6 inches. Given that the district would not like to see the minimum pipe size be installed and then fire flows be insufficient still afterwards, if that helps at all.
Another question, if I could. So this is they want to take one lot off, probably keep it for themselves and sell 12, or is it keep one and sell 11?
The intention of the application in front of council is to subdivide the large parcel into 12 separate parcels of land and then sell all 12.
So
All 12. That's our understanding.
So they're arguing that they don't know exactly what the flow requirements would be, even though they subdivided, because it depends on the actual construction.
Correct. And then again, as Bobby mentioned, the concern with dividing it up into 12 lots is that the first one or two may not trigger the upgrades. The third lot coming in may trigger $250,000, for example, worth of upgrades. So that's where the concern is. This is obviously an opportunity to look at upgrading infrastructure with the application that's in front of us.
No, I mean, for sure, we're going to see 12
Yes.
somethings.
Yes.
Councillor Carlson?
I think Mr. Haddad has answered my question. It was why it's subdivision, not a building permit, but it's because we don't know if one person will buy all 12 or it'll be 12 different.
Correct. And again, when we look at the feasibility of if each, again, we're looking at the proposal is to create 12 lots. They will be 12 separate lots. There's nothing that requires them to all be sold as one. They could be sold to 12 individuals. The first one that comes in would be responsible for those upgrades. So that's just the nature of the subdivision, I guess, that we have in front of us in 12 lots and some of the complexities with pushing this cost off into the future.
Councillor Van Elfen?
Thank you. So it was mentioned that the campground paid up 50,000?
Approximately, it was 1/12 of the estimated total cost of the minimum pipe-sized looping.
And then the subdivision to the east paid nothing?
I can't speak to that particular subdivision. It was.
Yeah, through the chair, Madam Mayor, if I just put that back up on the screen. Okay, for one of a better image. So there's over the last number of years, I've seen some subdivisions further to the east that have taken place. So if for whatever reason the looping requirement may not have been or was not a condition of those. So what we're left with is in orange, the two lots that were separated, and then lot 5, which is the large lot subject to the 12 lot application in front of us now.
Go ahead, Councillor Barkle, and then I'll ask.
Do we have that diagram in our package?
The one with the orange may not be.
Yeah, with the Google Earth, yeah, what's that?
There was a, sorry, if I may, there was a similar GIS air photo provided. It did not include the highlighted areas, however.
And the lines for the looping. I see there's something in the, I guess the only difference being the Google Earth image on the this report here from the okay, anyhow, what are the requirements for, say, electrical servicing? would there have to be transformer upgrades paid on subdivision? I mean, could we be in the situation where there's two houses put in and then the third house needs a transformer that they have to pay for? Or is that all going to be part of the expense of the developer to subdivide?
Yeah, through Chairman and Mayor. So as part of the preliminary layout approval, there is requirements for electrical upgrades, and the developer of the 12 lots will be required to provide services to each of the new lots created.
So would it be analogous to providing the sufficient water flow as same as providing sufficient electrical service?
Correct.
Okay, Councillor Trainer,
Can I just ask a question for clarification? So
please use your microphone.
the idea of putting in the pipe now, is it to meet the max potential needs of those properties once they were built out? Does that
Through
make
Chair,
sense?
probably correct me if I'm wrong, we have a zoning in front of us now that allows for that medium density development. The
Right.
intention is, based on the information we have in front of us, that the water system can accommodate the future density that's currently zoned. If someone came in the future and triggered zoning for a high density, for example, we'd have to do that review again. But as it stands now, based on the zoning that exists, the 12 lots are proposed, the bylaw requirements, these are the upgrades required.
Okay.
Here's another question for you. The applicant, I don't know what the person's name is. The applicant, when they bought that, it was the 2-lot subdivision. And then this is, I think you said lot 5 that's before us tonight?
That's correct. Lot 5 is the, I guess, that large parcel on the
Yes.
waterfront.
Okay, so it's lot 5, which right now is a single lot. And the proposal is to, in advance of the sale, to subdivide that into 12 lots?
Correct.
Okay, and it seems to me that you can't have your cake and eat it too. Either you sell the lot as a single lot, because they've got the cash in lieu already, and then have the developer subdivide and pay the extra, or you subdivide in advance to bring the cost or the price that you're getting for the land up and cover the costs for the extra, for the water main loop. It seems fairly straightforward to me. Councillor Van Alphen.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And adding to that, my theory would be though, so if I come along and it is zoned 12 separate lots for single-family residential with an adequate water line to ground, and I come to council for variance to put in multifamily townhouses and I require a bigger water main, then it should be my expense at that time. But if I'm the guy starting at the beginning with 12 lots, then I need to put in the minimum. And then, I don't know if that makes any sense, but I agree with you out there.
Okay, any other questions of Bobby or staff? Could I have someone bring forward the motion, please? Councillor Carlson.
I'll move that the development variance permit DBP 20-025 at 2920 to 3530 Landry Crescent, mainly described as Lot 5 DL 477 ODYD Plan KAP 82140, to vary off-site improvement requirements prescribed in Schedule C.5, Section 2.05, hydraulic network considerations of subdivision and development servicing bylaw number 99-004, to eliminate the requirement to loop an existing water main exceeding 200 meters be denied.
Seconder, Councillor Van Alphen. Further discussion on this? I'll call the question. All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, so that is carried, that is denied. And 7.6, development variance permit DVP 20-027 for 9203 James Avenue. Bobby.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So the District of Summerland has received an application for development variance permit 20-027 to vary offsite works required at subdivision for the property at 9203 James Avenue at the corner of James Avenue and Alder Street. The property is at the edge of the James Lake Industrial Park, and the applicant is proposing to vary sections 3.10 and section 6.02 of the District of Summerland subdivision and development servicing bylaw to facilitate a proposed 2-lot subdivision of the parcel. Section 3.10 of the SDS bylaw specifies that an owner of a parcel who applies for subdivision must provide as a condition of subdivision approval the works that are required to be provided under this bylaw. This variance is specific to item A on a highway immediately adjacent to the parcel up to the center line of the highway. In order for staff to currently exempt the proposed subdivision from the works required, all items in section 3.14 of the SDS bylaw must be met and be a zone listed in the exemption section, which it is not. The current parcel is currently zoned M2 and matches the OCP future land use designation for the James Lake Industrial Park area. The current slide illustrates the proposed subdivision plan. James Avenue and the north half of Alder Street are to be constructed to the District of Summerland Industrial Highway Standard Drawing 100-5 up to center line as shown on the left. The applicant has proposed to, instead of paving the center line, install the concrete curb at the specified offset from center line and pave the remainder strip as illustrated on the right. Staff proposed working with the applicant upon approval to ensure the location of the asphalt joint is not within the wheel path of traveling vehicles, as asphalt joints can be the weakest part of a road if done improperly. Staff wish to eliminate the risk of potential failure at the asphalt joint. Just for more clarification, and I know it's hard to see again, so just on the right-hand side, there's a section prepared by Watershed Engineering, the applicant. I don't know if this has a laser, but there's a line that seems like it's in the middle of the roadway. That's the existing edge of asphalt, and the applicant proposes to install the concrete curb at the industrial road standard on the left, and then pave the remainder strip of asphalt. The District of Summerland completed a road condition assessment in 2019 of all the roads in Summerland. The condition of James Ave and Alder Street are both within the excellent range, with James Ave rated at 92 and Alder Street rated at 88 out of 100. These ratings are based on smoothness of the road as determined by vehicle-mounted software. The photos on the screen show the road, the current road condition on James Ave and Alder Street. Aside from a couple saw cuts for infrastructure installation on Alder Street, the roads are in good condition as supported by the road condition assessment. Staff would like to inform Mayor and Council that the Development Services Department is working on a bylaw text amendment to section 3.14 of the SDS bylaw, which should be ready for consideration this fall. The amendments are specific to 2-lot subdivisions and the works required at subdivision for all zones identified in the zoning bylaw to be at the discretion of the Director of Works and Infrastructure. Briefly stated, staff will be proposing that all 2-lot subdivisions and lot line adjustments would be exempt from all or part of the works required at the discretion of the Director of Works and Infrastructure to avoid these types of variances being brought to Council for consideration. This report is just being fine-tuned by staff and will also be presented to the Development Process Improvement Advisory Committee prior to Council's consideration. In closing, staff recommend that DVP 20-027 be approved. And staff also recommend that by approving this variance, that the applicant be required to work with staff to determine the best location for the asphalt joint to be located outside the wheel path. Thank you, Madam Mayor and Council.
Thank you. Is there anyone on the phone line that wishes to speak to the development variance permit on James Avenue? Nope. Okay. Councillor Van Alphen.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Question through, if I may. The proposed subdivision, the entrance exit will be off of Alder Street.
That's correct.
Okay. And also, has there been any study done on drainage? That's a high water table area there.
Yeah, there hasn't been a study, say, completed for the area. By installing curb in that area, the drainage ditches would be eliminated along the frontage of the property, and catch basins and dry wells and storm infrastructure would be installed to the district Summerland standards.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, I will call the question then. All in favor? Oh, sorry, we don't have it on the floor yet. Councillor Holmes.
That DVP 20-027 and 9203 James Avenue, legally described as Lot B, DL 2195 ODYD Plan 30535 to vary off-site improvement requirements prescribed in Section 3.10 servicing requirements at Doug's subdivision and 6.02 highways and walkways of subdivision and development servicing bylaw number 99-004 to eliminate the requirement to reconstruct James Avenue and Alder Street to center line along the frontage of the subject property be approved.
Thank you, Councillor Holmes. Seconder, Councillor Van Alphen. Further discussion? Councillor Barkle.
Councillor Van Alphen, I just sort of a point of interest. The Councillor Van Alphen brings up concern, but let's hope that it's not really going to amount to anything. But I mean, the reason it's called the James Lake Industrial Area is because it used to be a lake, and the water table is pretty high. I used to skate there. Maybe you're not that.
I'm not that age.
Yeah. But so you got to think that there could be a potential problem, and you spent a lot of time on that area. Did you see a problem in the past?
About 15 years in business on Alder Street, yes. Major problems there, and that's why that ditch is where it is.
Yeah.
For drainage purposes, and if it all gets paved, those 1 in 100 year torrential rains we get 3 times a year now is a problem. So, I mean, I just hope that drainage, I hope it's not all into dry wells, because I think at the end of Alder, there's a storm drain that goes somewhere.
Yeah. I think that the staff should have a very close look and maybe upsize the dry wells or whatever can be done.
I think Anthony wants to.
Yeah, I was going to say, Madam Mayor, our works and engineering team are in the process of, I believe, next year, design process for upgrading the stormwater infrastructure there. There obviously are some issues, historical issues in that area, given the history of that area. So that storm infrastructure project will be coming forward to council through a capital budget process, through a design process, I believe, next year, and then should council support it, long-term capital project, we'll be implementing that in 2022. So more information to come on that, but certainly recognize that historical issue.
Councillor Barkle.
So that begs the question, would we be, ripping up what we put in for this project if the design says
yeah, I think
more?
this on a site-by-site basis, no, whether it's be looking at upgrading the storm infrastructure within the street. I think that whole project, again, we'll get our works supervisor or manager to speak to it, but you'll be looking at a number of different upgrades in that area over the future. But they're aware of that with these upgrades as well.
They have to be aware of the problem, and hopefully they consider it.
Okay, ready to call the question then? All in favor? And none opposed. Thank you. There. Thank you, Bobby.
Thank you very much.
On to 7.7, August 2020 Development Services Department Monthly Report.
No more variances?
No, sorry, we've had half a dozen, so that's good.
If you like another one, we can have one.
We can just make one up.
We got the end of August statistics for council and community information. So you can see there, certainly the number of variances in the planning applications up to approximately 29 so far this year. As I mentioned before, we just had a first update of some new zoning bylaw amendments come through the Development Process Improvement Advisory Committee last week, looking to change that and modernize some of the bylaw. With regards to construction, statistics, building permits, 118 for this time for the end of August, just under $20 million of construction activity today. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Any comments or questions? Oh, Councillor Barkle.
Yes, have you heard any more activity for the Lakeshore condo development? Are they still on track with us?
Yes, Madam Mayor. So they've been working with Bobby and the building department on putting the building permit submission package together. Obviously, their sales are going well, and we expect to get building permit in this year for the first phase, hopefully too.
First phase is the commercial and then
Commercial
the
and,
condos above.
I believe 12 of the 36 units. So we're hoping to see 24 units, but the property owners are developers are working with staff right now on the permit package.
Yeah, great, thank you. Okay, so can we receive that for information, please? Councillor Van Alphen, Councillor Holmes seconds, and all in favor? Thank you. Nothing. Is there a notice of motion? Is it ahead to 12? Any notices of motion? All right. And then on to correspondence. Anybody want to bring forward correspondence? I know that there's one there that refers to you, Councillor Trainer.
Yeah, I can bring that one forward. The Summerland Oriental Gardens, Friends of the Gardens, would like to know if I can be a liaison to their group. I'm not really sure how this process works, if it has to be a council, it has to be approved by council, but basically I would just be the liaison between them and our council and update them on what we're doing and provide updates to the council on what they're doing. I go to the gardens a lot when it is open. I'm usually up there a couple of times a week with the kids. And my grandpa works for the research station for a long time, and my grandma has a tree up there. So I'm familiar with it, so I would love to do this.
Process?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So yes, if an external organization asks for council representation, then that would be something that council would decide. If you would like to have a liaison position and an appointment, that would be done around the council table. And often we would ask if there's a certain terms of reference, or is it a voting or a non-voting member, those types of things. So
so then that would be something in your jurisdiction?
absolutely,
Okay.
Madam Mayor. So if council would like me to bring a report forward to officially appoint Councillor Trainer to that liaison role, I certainly could do that.
Okay, you don't need a resolution, do you? Do you?
It'd be good to have a resolution.
Okay. Who'd like to bring forward a resolution? Councillor Van Alphen.
That we appoint Councillor Aaron Trainer to the Summerland Ornamental Gardens.
Yes, so staff will
Staff.
We'll organize the-
Look into this.
okay, great. Seconder for that, Councillor Carlson. Any further discussion? Do we have to interview Councillor Trainer? Councillor Holmes.
I'm just wondering if it might be worth having a discussion at some point on having a council policy on who we appoint external liaisons to our organization, do and what we don't, and on what criteria, do we base them? because is it just if an organization requests it and then we're happy to oblige, or is there some sort of purpose for us to have liaisons or not? For example, if I can see if we provide them a substantial amount of annual funding, then I'd say there's very good case that we ought to have a liaison on their board. But if there's not really any strong connection that way, financial or otherwise, then I think the piece that maybe we don't need. So, but I think at some point, discussion like that might be worthwhile.
All right, Councillor Trainer.
I seem to recall that we've been asked before by other
Yes.
groups, and we said no. So maybe a policy would be good. In this case with Friends of the Gardens, we do get an annual grant. So I think in this case it's good, but you're right, I think a policy might help us.
Yeah, if it's outside of
Here,
the
and then that
committee
way
of
when
council.
groups maybe want to have one of us on, they can look at this policy and determine whether they qualify or not.
Okay, so let's vote on this then. All in favor? Yes, you vote. Great. Thank you. Is there any other? Okay, Councillor Barkle.
Yes, regarding the letter from the Okanagan Historical Society, I remember we had a discussion about the naming the roundabouts, and I think we got kind of tied up in policy at that time, right? Is that where it sort of left off, and we didn't really have a policy for naming roundabouts, and so we didn't make any decisions, and where are we going to go with that?
Yeah, through Chairman and Mayor, the three items that are addressed in that letter need to come back to council. And I had a discussion with Mr. Doughton, and he wasn't able to attend this meeting, so he's able to speak at the following meeting, September 28th, and we'll be bringing this correspondence item back to that agenda item. But yes, we need to revisit the direction council's given us on all, like two out of three of those items, and bring them back to council.
Thank you.
Okay. Good, thanks for bringing that up. Anyone want to bring forward the other letter that we have in our correspondence? Are we all good there? Okay, someone could receive these for information, please. Councillor Van Elfen, Councillor Patton, all in favor? Thank you. Okay, on to councillor reports. Councillor Barkle.
I attended the KVR meeting, all socially distanced out in their patio area. And they're, as you probably know from the newspapers, they're not going to run any more trains. They do have an opportunity maybe to feature one of their trains in an upcoming documentary. They're kind of interested. I'm not sure whether the documentary has full funding yet or not, but they're quite enthusiastic about using the train. And what was the other meeting I attended? I'll think of it and come back to me.
All right. Oh, Chamber.
Chamber, yes, I attended the chamber, and nothing too startling out of the chamber meeting.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Patton.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I want to thank Councillor Barkle for stepping in for me at the KBR meeting. Did a pretty open job. Thank you. And I have nothing else to report.
Thank you. Councillor Trainer.
I have nothing to report tonight.
Thank you. Councillor Carlson.
I think September is going to be very busy, but I have nothing to report from the past couple of weeks.
Thank you. Councillor Holmes.
Yes, I'd like to thank Councillor Barkle for stepping in for me at the last chamber meeting. I think they like you more than like me. So you might want to take over.
You going this week? There's one Thursday.
Once you want it. So the only really one thing from the last RUS meeting on September 3rd, Dr. Kent Mullenix and Christy Tadaby from the Institute of Sustainable Food Systems at Kwantlen Polytechnic University updated the board on the Okanagan Bioregion Food System Project. If anybody's interested, I can provide you more details about that. But their final report is expected early 2021, and I'm sure we'll all get a copy of more details on that. This week, just as we're having our UBCM meetings, the RDS is having their minister meetings this week as well, which as vice chair I'm involved in. And today we actually had our first one today with the Minister of Environment talking about allowing burning on low bend index days when by using trench or air curtain burners as an alternate. So that was I think the minister was quite interested in it, but on Wednesday we met with the Minister of Agriculture to talk about relaxing ALC regulations to allow smaller orchards to create bistros or restaurants or to host weddings and social events like the wineries do. And on Friday, it's with Flynn Road to talk about using a regulation system process rather than the current permitting system process for creek and stream maintenance, given that, as we know, with Phoenix Creek, the permitting system is quite onerous for property owners to clean out silt and replace culverts and whatnot after flooding. So those are the three ministerial that we'll have in the RDOS. That's all I have.
Thank you. And another RDOS meeting on Thursday, right?
That's right.
Right. Councillor Van Elfen?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd like to also thank Councillor Barkwell as the alternate to the KVR for attending. I also attended the first and second phase of the Giant's Head along with my colleague. And it was nice. The parking lot retaining wall is so attractive. Like the retaining wall itself is so attractive there. You know, hopefully this project can continue on with momentum, because I think it's amazing how many guests we get in Summerland that use those trails. They come specifically to use those trails. So that's always nice. And last but not least, on a disturbing note, the vandals that vandalized the pictographs and the Soyuz. My heart goes out to the band in this down south. Consider them good neighbors of ours, and I just think it's just absolutely appalling. And I hope they catch the culprits, and you know they're prosecuted to the nth degree. I hope. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Van Elfen. Councillor Barkwell?
Yes, I was wondering if Councillor Holmes could say again about the burning, what is air curtain or trench burning? Because I wonder if our council could have their voices to maybe encourage the opportunity to bring back burning. I understand it was stopped because of COVID, but COVID is in our area is pretty minimal, and there's a lot of burning that needs to be done.
So I'm not the expert on this, but the idea is that there's so few days that you're allowed to burn, and so what happens is that on those few days that you're actually allowed to burn, everybody burns,
Mm-hmm.
and then the skies are you can't breathe. It's like today, right?
Never.
And so with this trench or air curtain burning system, you should be able to do it on non-vented days, on low-vented days, right? So you don't have to, you wouldn't have to wait for those days to do it. So you spread out the number of days that
So
you could burn.
You put the material into a trench and burn it in the trench.
I guess that's
is that
the idea, yeah.
Yes, and it burns at a much higher temperature.
Oh, yeah.
And
So it's
then
much cleaner.
You use it to keep it on the soil. It helps regenerate the soil. That's the idea.
Councillor Van Elfen?
Just further to that, has there been any discussion at all about reintroducing the chipping program? South Okanagan?
Well, the RDOS still has a chipping program, but only, but like everything on the RDOS, only those areas that pay into it have that service, and we don't pay into it. So,
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so I think we Karen?
Madam Mayor, just the public media comment period.
See, I almost missed it again. Is there anyone on the line that would like to comment on anything? Anything you like? Yeah, that's right. Anyone on the line that would like to comment at the end of our council meeting tonight? Okay. I have a question. Do we adjourn this meeting and then go into closed, or do we make a resolution now to go into closed meeting? Adjourn, okay. Adjourn, please. Who's interested in calling for that? Councillor Traynor and Councillor Barkwell, all in favor?